Hey guys, I'm Jade. Today is my LeetCode review vlog on the 205th problem. Isomorphic strings. We are given two strings, S and T. We have to determine if they're isomorphic. Two strings S and T are isomorphic if the characters in C can be replaced to get T. All occurrences of a character must be replaced with another character while preserving the order of characters. No two characters may map to the same character, but a character may map itself. Let's see several examples here. We want to map A to add, and the output is true because we can map E to A and G to D. And let's see example 2. We want to map foo to bar, and the output is false because we can't map O to A at the same time and O to R. This is because we can only map characters one by one. Then, let's get started with our intuition to solve the problem. So, the key point is we can use HashMap to help us solve the problem. And the detail is we're going to use two HashMaps to store the mapping rules. I tapped wrong. Mapping rules from characters in S to T and T to S. As we traverse the strings, we establish and check these mapping rules to ensure they are consistent throughout both strings. Then, let's get started with our code and detailed annotations. The first step, we have to check for the edge cases, which is when S and T, their lengths are not the same. We just written false because if lengths are different, they cannot be isomorphic. If S dot length is not equal to T dot length, we just return false. Next, we're going to create two HashMap to help us to store the mapping rules from S to T and T to S. Let's say map of character to character, and let's name it S to T can be assigned to a new empty HashMap. Then we can create another, let's say T to S. And we also assign a new empty HashMap to it. And first, why we have to check for the mapping rules from S to T? Because we want to make sure each characters in S would consistently maps to a particular character in T, because the problem asks us to do it one by one to one. And for the second T to S HashMap, we want to make sure to ensure that two different characters in S map to a same character in T. And this double check is very important and essential because let's see an example here. Suppose we only check the mapping from X to T. Let's see example. Let's say S is equal to AB and T is equal to double C. In this example, if we only ensure that each character from S maps to the a character in T, we might think A to C and B to C. And these two mapping rules, it is valid because we aren't looking for unique mappings from T back to S. So it violates the isomorphic definition where characters must map 1 to 1. Then we have to create a for loop to check for the mapping rules from S to T first. Let's say we have a new unique for loop. Let's say int I started at 0 and I should be less than s dot length. And we have to increment I after each iteration. Inside for loop, we want to get the current character both in separately from S and T. Let's say S character equals S dot character height I. And we also want to get the T character, which is from T dot character at I. Then we have to check if it has a existing mapping rule. Check if has a existing mapping rule for S character. Let's say if S2T dot contains key of S character. If so, we'll check for the consistency of the mapping rule from S character to the key character. Let's say if S2T dot get S character, which is not equal to T character. If so, which means we meet an inconsistent mapping rules. So we just return false. And on the other hand, if S2T do not contains the key of S character, which means we have to build a new mapping rule from S character to key character. Else, S2T put S character to T character. And this is the first step. We check for the consistency of the mapping rules from S character to S map to the S character to key character. Then we have to check again from T character to the S character. And the code is very similar. If we should do it inside the for loop. If T to S map contains key of T character. If so, we want to check the consistency of this mapping rule, which is T to S map get T character is not equal to S character. If so, which means we meet another inconsistent mapping rule, so we return false. And on the other hand, if we cannot find existing mapping rules for the T character, then we'll save this new mapping rule from T character to S character, which is T to S mapping rule, put a new rule, T character to S character. And out of the for loop, which means we checked all the mapping rules and their consistency, so we return true because we found a consistent mapping. And then T to S cannot find a symbol on the 23rd. I have to correct it, revise it. T to S. Then let's analyze the time and the space complexity. So the time complexity, it is big O of n, where n is the length of the strings, since we traverse the strings s and t only once. And the space complexity, it is big O of 1 in terms of larger input sizes. This is because the size of the map is limited by the size of the character set. So the time complexity is big O of n, and the space complexity is big O of 1. And this is my LeetCode review vlog on this LeetCode problem. And I recommend you to visit my GitHub online page on this website. You can see very detailed problem description and intuition and main idea, and also the Java code with detailed annotations. Oops, it may need some time to get it. And you can also visit the corresponding GitHub repository here. I put every markdown, notes, and assets, and the code for the doxy file to build the online GitHub page here. You can see the new nodes for this problem would be inside here. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.